Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another traditional draft of the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. Without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1 Pick 1, which is between two premium uncommons, both of which are monocolored, so they're not super restrictive. We've got a Voracious Fellbeast out of black. Huge finisher. It's going to flip the game in your favor as well in several positions, making your opponent sack a creature and giving you a food token to really help stabilize. And Eomer of the Rittermark, which is a really good aggressive finisher in red decks, as it's going to be a big 5-power haste creature that's also spitting out some 1/1 human soldiers to help you block when your opponent tries to hit you on the crack back there. So I think both of these are incredible, exceptional cards, and either of these would be a phenomenal Pack 1 Pick 1. I think we could really coin flip between the two, but I'm just going to scoop up the Fellbeast here. I am a big fan. Big fan of this Drake Beast. I think it has flipped so many games back in my favor that I'm just super duper into it. For Pack 1 Pick 2 now, we have a Dunlin Crebain to go with our Voracious Fellbeast, just taking a very good black common. We could also take one of these uncommons, or the rare. Not a massive fan of Peregrine, but Perry's pretty decent, and then Faramir's also pretty decent. I think these are pretty on par with Crebain in power level though, so I would just take the card in the same color for now if I go with one of those. The main other card competing with Dunlin Crebain is Gandalf the Grey, as the strongest card in the pack, but that is a blue-red-gold card. Highly unlikely we'll be playing blue-red and black together unless I draft a bunch of envelopes and wizard's rockets and stuff like that, and that's not the kind of deck I tend to like playing super often. We could take Gandalf and try to draft some Great Hall of the Citadel. I think that's the best way to splash in a bunch of off-color legends. That can be pretty solid, but you need to do that and have a really high instant sorcery count for Gandalf to be great, so I'm just going to keep it nice and simple here. Take the Dunlin Crebain. For Pack 1 Pick 3, there's another very powerful multicolored rare, Doors of Durin. I don't think Great Hall of the Citadel helps cast non-creature spells. I wish I could remember off the bat, but it's like 1 mana tap. You get 2 mana of any color to help cast legendary creatures, I think. If it's any legends, then I guess we could splash in Doors of Durin off of Great Halls of the Citadel if we find them. Either way, we could just take Lash of the Balrog here as a great black removal spell. Probably the best common in the pack, and the uncommon isn't great either, so those are kind of the only options, are Lash of the Balrog or get a little spicy here, try to take a Doors of Durin. And I'm just going to cut some more black here. Scooping up the Lash. Great stuff going on in black. Now we have a Mordor Muster. Ooh, now we can check the Great Hall of the Citadel, though. It is any legendary spells, so this could splash in a Gandalf the Grey or a Doors of Durin. I highly doubt either of those cards are going to come back, though, so it's not the greatest to take this, just speculating on one of those coming back. We could take a Rise of the Witch King. This card's a pretty good combo with any land cyclers, like Troll of Khazad-dûm. Land cyclist, have a giant creature in your grave, and then you play this on turn 4, sacrificing your Crebain, or the army the Crebain made, to reanimate a troll. That can be pretty spicy, pretty powerful. Might try to do the Rise of the Witch King thing. I don't think I've ever done that before. Purely trying to win, I would just take Muster, because it's super open, just keeps us to just black for now. We can choose our second color later, but I think the Rise of the Witch King thing could be pretty fun, and I haven't managed to do that yet. So I'll be a little speculative there and see if we can move into green. Probably not, because the best cards here are Pelargir Survivor and Relentless Rohirrim. For blue-black spells or red-black Ring Tempts You, I think both are fantastic cards. I think I'd rather take Rohirrim than Survivor, because we're not super heavy towards like the blue-black spells direction, but Crebain and Fellbeast and Lash are all good for the blue-black deck. It doesn't have to be super spell heavy, but to get a lot of value out of Pelargir Survivor, it does. So I'll take the Rohirrim. Okay. Onto the Dead Marshes is a very good 1-drop in black. There are tons of legends in this format, just naturally, as well as any creature that you turn into your Ring Bearer being a legend as well. So this has been a really nice, consistent reanimation target. It's really good with Rise of the Witch King because it's a super expendable creature. And it's got some other combos that are quite nice, especially in green-black if we do end up in that direction. If we find like Old Man Willow, that's a super fun combo with the Haunt. Could take a Mirror Guardian out of green, which is fine. Breaking the Fellowship out of red, which is fine. We have one way to amass an army right now, so we're not looking like a Grand deck. But Grand is okay if you have a ton of ways to amass an army. I think I'll take the Mirror Guardian here. Another green creature towards the Rise of the Witch King deck, and it's got a great death trigger. Alright, well, I guess we could have just taken a Gandalf pick too, because, wow, we could have just been Gandalf and then Gandalf Sanction here. That would have been wild. Unless, was Gandalf in our opening pack? I think Gandalf was pick 2 and Doors was like pick 3. Yeah, we definitely could have ended up in that direction. I think it's too late now, and seeing a pick 8 Uruk-hai Berserker is a fantastic sign that black is perfectly open. It might not be the most open color in the draft pod, but if we can get Uruk-hai Berserkers pick 8, it is more than open enough to keep drafting it, as we already have plenty of powerful cards in the color. Take another Haunt again, because it's really good with Rise of the Witch King, and if we pick up Old Man Willow, which is another green, black, gold card, it'll be great. It is competing with a Many Partings, which is a reasonable option here, because if we are going to be green-black, taking some nice fixing like Many Partings could be pretty spicy. Could help us splash in some random nonsense, but I'd rather just take another Haunt. Nice and consistent card. Bag End Porter is a very beefy creature, very self-explanatory, nothing super special about it, but does the job. Beefy mid-range creature. Now we've got an Ungol Patrol. And we get a Great Hall pick 12. Maybe we do get to splash in some nonsense. We'll see. That's pretty fantastic. Draft is actually going really well so far. If we're green-black, there's only 2 cards we're not playing. And that's like if I don't get any legends for Great Hall. We might even play the Great Hall if we do get some. The curve's not incredible, but it's not terrible. We already have 2 1-drops at least for cards that cost 2 or less. It's not like we have a million high mana value cards. I think things are going pretty alright here. I'm not amassing very often. I don't think Warg is going to be a 4/4 that much. 4 mana 3, 4 mana is still fine. But I do kind of like having the Wizard's Rockets to go with the Great Hall, in case we find some really fun, powerful off-color stuff. Alright. Pack 2, pick 1. What have we got? I'm going to take Generous Ent, because it is incredible with Rise of the Witch King. Get to Forest Cycle it and then reanimate it, sacking the Haunt to the Dead Marshes. I think since we are already in green, and there's nothing particularly good in green or black, this might be a position where maybe you could take an Elven Chorus, but I am very much not a fan of the card. It plays incredibly slowly. It's actually one of the lowest win rate cards in green, just stat-wise, data-wise as well, because of how slow it plays. But if you're in a board stall position, if you're not behind, it will be a big card advantage engine that will put you far ahead and win that game. It's just not very good at Quadrant Theory, Quadrant Theory is when you want your cards to be good at all 4 points of the game. For them to be great cards, you want them to be good when you're setting up in the early game, when you're ahead, when you're at parity with your opponent, so when you're both in like a board stall, you're pretty even, and when you're behind. So the more of those 4 situations or 4 positions that a card is good in, the better the card is. That's why removal spells like Golem's Bite are so good, because in the early turns when you're setting up, maybe your opponent has played a nice little 2-mana dork and you just want to keep it off you for a little bit. All right, can be good when you're setting up. When you're ahead, you can use this to clear out a blocker and push in extra damage. When you're behind, you need to help protect yourself, defend yourself, kill your opponent's threats. This can do that. And when you're at parity, a removal spell can also break that parity by making your opponent's board state a little bit smaller. So that is the gist of Quadrant Theory, and it's one of the big reasons why that Elven Chorus is pretty bad, because it's not good when you're setting up, because you're spending 4 mana to put nothing that immediately impacts the board. It's a card that's going to be much better later. It's not a card that's great when you're behind. It's actually very bad when you're behind, because again, it's not affecting the board in any way. So your opponent's just going to beat you down while you've played an enchantment for 4 mana that doesn't affect the board. And at parity is when it's really good, because at parity, that's when you use that to get ahead. You start casting a bunch of stuff and overwhelming them when you're in a board stall. And then again, when you're ahead, you're already ahead, so Elven Chorus isn't that crazy. So it's really good in one of the 4 positions of Quadrant Theory. It's okay when you're ahead, and then it's super bad in the other 2. So that's kind of the risk of the card, and that just helps you evaluate, like, as powerful as a card looks, how often is it going to play that well? So that's just important to keep in mind. We're like Fellbeast, super bad when you're setting up, That's one of the 4 quadrants. Early game, it's super bad because it's a 6-drop, but if you're ahead and you have 6 mana, it's good. If you're behind and you have 6 mana, it's good. And if you're at parity and you have 6 mana, it's good. It's just you gotta have 6 mana. So, all right, there was a little tiny class in quadrant theory. If you want to hear the full explanation, definitely look up the quadrant theory episode of Limited Resources. It is a great tool to learn about that whole aspect of card evaluation. But now we'll drop a Dunlin Crebain here. This pack's going very well. We don't have enough legends for Isildur's Fateful Strike to be super good. It actually doesn't look like we're going to end up with enough Ring Tempting for the Berserker to end up being super great in this deck either. And that is going to lower the value of anything that wants us to have a legend on board, like the Fateful Strike as well. Another Wizard's Rockets here. I suppose I could splash in Prince Imrahil off this nonsense, but probably not. Nasty End could be okay here. We've got some expendable creatures. We have 2 Haunt the Dead Marshes. Still not a ton of legends for them, which is awkward. But I have got 3 ways for the Ring to tempt us right now. If we get more, it could end up being better. I guess I'll take a Nasty End. Hope for the best on that one. And now we've got another Lash of the Balrog. Pretty happily take that. Over not much else. Enraged Horn's a great pickup here. 5 mana, 4/5 trample, and the Ring tempts us when it hits the board. Pretty happy to scoop it up. Take a Grand just to send a message to stay out of black. Not that it's early enough for that to matter. Take a Peregrine Took. I don't have a lot of food production. Maybe I have to just take a Lothlorien look at this point just because I don't have any 2-mana creatures. I've got 1, 2, 3 food-producing cards, and they're very late game. Technically, the Ungle Patrol produces food as well, but that's not going to happen super often. I don't know. I'll still take Peregrine. I really don't like Lothlorien Lookout if you're not in the Scry deck. That's a late Errand Rider. All right, I've already got double Haunt. Let's take the nice little ambush combat trick. Now I've got another Horn. That's fantastic. Very happy to see that, because now we're starting to get to that pivotal mass of Ring Tempt cards where they do start getting pretty valuable. You want to have like 5+ so that you are somewhat consistently getting a level 2 Ring Bearer. That's where things get really good, when you're drawing and discarding a card every turn. So we've got an Uruk-hai Berserker, a Mirror Guardian, 2 Enraged Horn, that's 4 Ring Tempts cards, and 1 Golem's Bite, so that's 5. I'd like to have more than that, because some of these aren't super consistent. Again, like the Mirror Guardian, it's not going to do it until it dies. The Golem's Bite, we're going to have to invest 5 mana total, 1 to cast it, 4 to get the Ring to tempt us. So some of these are not the most consistent ways for the Ring to tempt us, so we're still looking for a few more in pack 3 for sure. And it really is the more the merrier. You can't have too many. The more you have, the more often you can move your Ring Bearer back around. If your opponent blows up your first one so you're not drawing and discarding a card anymore, then the next card you have where the Ring tempts you, boom, move it onto another creature, get that ball rolling again. And if you do really well and you have a mountain of Ring Tempt cards, then you can get to that level 4 and keep moving level 4 around whenever your Ring Bearer dies, and that's where all those Ring Tempt cards just become pretty big finishers. All right, pretty excited to see what we can get out of pack 3 here. I'm going to take an Easterling Vanguard here, but I think it would be reasonable to take Doors of Durin, seeing as we have 2 Wizard's Rockets and a Great Hall of the Citadel. I think I really want some 2-mana creatures right now, though, seeing as I have literally 0. So I'm just going to stick to on-color 2-mana creatures for now. Sorry, Doors of Durin. Somebody in this draft pod might get 2 copies of Doors of Durin, and that would be pretty nasty. Doors of Durin is quite a powerful card. I'm just more of a streamlined 2-color kind of player that likes to make sure my curve's really nice so I don't get caught with my pants down while I'm setting up in the early game. The Vanguard's also great with Rise of the Witch King. 2 separate creatures off the 1 card. Both are very expendable to sacrifice, so that's nice too. This pack's not great because I really don't want to Watchdogs. We do not have the food production for this card to be any good. So we're taking another Lash of the Balrog or a Mirror Guardian. And we kind of have Golem's Bite, Double Lash for straight up removal. And then 3 cards that make our opponent sack a creature. They get to choose what they sack with Rise of the Witch King and the Double Fell Beast, but still, that is more ways to to whittle down their board state and impact the board. So I think I'm just going to take another Mirror Guardian up that Ring Tempt stuff. Oh no. Okay. There's an argument for Easterling Vanguard. It is filling a role that is more empty in our deck than removal, but Claim the Precious is like the best removal spell in this format. This thing's ridiculous. It's only 3 mana to blow up any creature, and the Ring Tempts You. And we do like that Ring Tempts You in this deck. We are getting to that critical mass where we might be able to get level 4 Ring Bearers, where this becomes a very huge deal. So I'm going to take Claim the Precious. Sad to see that and the Vanguard in the same pack. If we saw this pack and then Vanguard next pack, I'd be super happy. But we'll see. Hopefully there's other 2-drops. I guess there's a Shire Scarecrow? No way is that going to make the cut, though. Really prefer not to do that. The only other options are a Combat Trick and a very filler 4-drop, because we're not doing that much when it comes to token production. We've got some armies and then maybe some food alongside the armies, because I make an army, which means I made a token, which means Peregrine triggers and I make a food, but I don't think it's enough for a bats, and if it is, I already have 1 copy at least. I guess I'll just take an envelope. Maybe we get past some really spicy off-color nonsense. Don't think I'm going to play 2 ambushes. Sauron's Ransom is okay off-color nonsense. I don't think it's worth throwing in Double Rocket's Envelope here. It's like a really good instant speed card draw spell, but that's all it is, really, is just card draw. Not a bomb of any kind. I guess I just take another ambush. I could take the Oliphant in case the the Doors of Durin, in case that card wheels and it comes back, but that doesn't seem likely. Could take a 1-mana 1/1 Death Touch or another Generous Ent. I really want to make sure my Rise of the Witch King works, so I'm going to take the Generous Ent over the Mirkwood Spider, which is a bit awkward because, as I've been saying, we need more 1 and 2 mana creatures, but I'm doing the Rise of the Witch King thing. I'm going to make sure that is a super consistent thing, and now we'll take a Troll of Khazad-dûm, and that Rise of the Witch King is getting very consistent now. That's 3 land cyclers for it. It's pretty good. I doubt we're getting any of the 2-mana creatures back, so that's going to be the big weakness of our deck, is our early game. Luckily, we've got 1 nice, cheap instant speed removal, so Golem's Bite kind of helps fill that role of 2-mana or less cards to keep affecting the board. It doesn't matter what we take here, we're not playing any of it. Maybe I should have taken the bow just in case. I want to sideboard it in. That could have been a thing. Doubt it, though. Oh my god, we got a 2-drop back. Let's go. We got an Easterling Vanguard back. That feels excellent. Now we have 5 2-mana or less cards. Still kind of low, seeing as it's only 4 creatures and 1 removal spell at 2 or less. But we're getting better. We're getting better. And all 4 of these are great to sacrifice to the Rise of the Witch King, which is awesome. The Haunts are actually going to consistently come back from the grave now, while we aren't running basically any legends, because I think I'll probably cut Peregrine. We are running a lot of Ring Tempt. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ring Tempt cards now. Kind of perfect for getting that level 2. We're very, very rarely ever going to hit level 4, but we can have a Ring Bearer quite often to have a legendary on board to reanimate a Haunt of the Dead Marshes. And we can probably get to level 2 pretty often too for the draw discard. I guess the draw discard works pretty well with Rise of the Witch King as well. Oh, we got the Spider back. Okay, we'll definitely play the Spider. And there's 5 2-mana or less creatures. Let's go. Love to see it. Love to see it. So, take a look at the deck here. Check out our token production. I think it is low enough to drop Mirkwood Bats and Peregrine. Yeah, I mean, 2 food from the ambushes, and then 6 drops that produce tokens, basically. Because these 2 don't produce tokens unless I'm producing tokens with other cards. Ooh, the Amass cards aren't showing up top when I just search tokens. So I guess 1, 2 cheap cards that make a token, but I'm probably cutting an ambush, and then 4 expensive ones. Patrol, I don't super count. How much Amass do I have? 4? So I kind of have like 6 cheap cards because I have double Crebain, double Vanguard, double Ambush, but then the 4 really late game ones. I think that's still low enough to not want to try to go deep on Peregrine Mirkwood Bats. Also low enough on Amass, I'd rather just play a couple Bag End Porters than the Snarling Warg. Just like a 4 mana 5/5 on average in this deck, because we'll usually have a Ring Bearer on the board. So just 4 mana 5/5 attacker. A little better than a 4 mana 3/4 menace on average. And this is 3 land cyclers. Definitely cut a couple lands here. Cut one of these ambushes, I think. Cut a couple lands. Still want a high land count, though. We've got 6 drops, and I'd like to cast these sometimes. So I'm not going to cut 3 lands for the 3 land cyclers. We'll go 15 lands plus 3 land cyclers for our mana base. I could even see only cutting 1 land and having 3 land cyclers again, just so we can get that 6 mana for the double Fell Beast more often, because that will be pretty busted if we can get there. 2 more cards to cut. I don't really have card advantage without Nasty End, and I do have a lot of good, cheap, expendable creatures, as well as ways to turn things into Ring Bearers I can sack to draw 3. Really don't want to cut that. The Ungol Patrol's pretty great with the double Haunt the Dead Marshes, but I don't want to cut any Ring Tempting, so I don't want to cut the big Tree Folk or the Mirror Guardians. Maybe we just drop like the Bag End Porters here. Stick to just sack stuff and Ring Bearers. I guess in that case I could also cut a Mirkwood Spider. We could go like cut 1 Mirkwood Spider, 1 Bag End Porter, start with a bit of a slower deck. If our opponent's like super aggressive, then we can sideboard into some cheaper stuff, throw the Mirkwood Spider back in. Yeah, I don't want to go to like 0 4-mana creatures here. It's a creature versus non-creature 20-7. Yeah, just cut creatures at this point. Let's cut the spider and cut one of the porters. I think that's where I want to be. Maybe I'm being a little too cheeky with the Ungol Patrols. Just because we have Haunt of the Dead Marshes doesn't necessarily mean they're great. Same with Nasty End, but I think there's tons of stuff to sack to Nasty End. Ungol Patrol, it's like, because it's a 5-mana 4/5, like if I'm sacking something to that, I'm also not attacking with it, which is pretty awkward. Means I usually want to use that a lot less frequently. I don't actually know how I feel about this patrol. Maybe we could drop the patrol, put another Bag End Porter in, and that helps the curve a little bit. Because again, the mana curve looks a little weird. Clumping up on 5 and 6 here. Only 2 4-drops, the Bag End Porter and the Rise of the Witch King. Could also cut a Bag End Porter for a 16th land again, so that we can really consistently hit that 6 mana for the Fell Beast. If we draw into any of these land cyclers, we can also just cast them as 6 drops. Yeah, I mean, cut an Ungol Patrol or a Bag End Porter for a land could be a thing. Or like cut an Ungol Patrol, put in another Bag End Porter to have a little bit of a better curve. Either of those seems pretty fine to me. But not super sure here. I guess we also have, with like 7 ways for the ring to tempt us, hopefully we can relatively consistently get a Ring Bearer going, so if we flood out, that's not much of a problem, because we can draw and discard loot to get out of the flood. But if we get mana screwed, that's still a big problem, because then we don't have the mana to deploy a level 2 Ring Bearer and start looting to get out of the mana screw. Like, we can loot to get out of mana flood, but we can't do it to get out of mana screw. So better to be flooded than screwed in this deck a little bit. With level 2 Ring Bearers. Yeah, I'm gonna drop an Ungol Patrol for a land. I'm gonna go to 16 lands and 3 land cyclers. And if we're flooding out, we can just cast the 6 mana land cyclers and also try to loot away lands with a level 2 Ring Bearer. We'll see though. We can go back to the drawing board and change the deck around even between games, because this is a best of 3 draft. But I believe this is where we are going to start the deck out. All right, here's a look at our completed deck list for today, and it looks like a pretty spicy one. We're mainly a black deck here. We are black-green with a lot of ring tempting and some fun little graveyard recursion synergies. Primarily, again, a bunch of really powerful black cards. That was where to be in the draft pod. We got 2 copies of Voracious Fellbeast. We got Acclaim the Precious. We got 2 Dunlin Kerbane and Uruk-hai Berserker. A couple Easterling Vanguards, Golem's Bite, and Double Lash of the Balrog. A lot of premium black cards that are just going to be carrying us through some of these games, but green is the secondary color, the backup color here, where we're putting in a little bit more of the ring tempting us to try to get those level 2 ring bearers between Mirror Guardians, Double Enraged Horn, and then our big synergy, our big kind of bomb in the deck is that we have 3 land cyclers, Troll of Khazad-dûm, Generous Ent, and another copy of Generous Ent alongside the Rise of the Witch King. And if we do that, we get to sacrifice something tiny like a Haunt of the Dead Marshes, an Easterling Vanguard, or a Dunlin Kerbane, and then reanimate a big old 5/7 or 6/5 that's super hard to block. So that's the big bomb in the deck. That's the really fun way to finish a game. But other than that, just a classic black-green deck with a lot of ring tempting, a lot of removal, just good mid-range pile in general. So pretty excited to play with this deck. Hopefully we can rise some land cyclers out of the grave. That'd be pretty fancy, but we'll see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Here we are on the play for game 1. Pretty excellent opening hand. Haunt of the Dead Marshes to scry into some more plays, and double Kerbane coming up later. Now there's a Fellbeast for a finisher. It is a 6-mana card with only 3 lands in my hand, so we could scry it to the bottom. I'm keeping it though because we have plenty of great mid-range plays, or mid-game plays between double Kerbane and then an ambush here, so we really are looking for a way to try to close the game out, and Fellbeast is definitely a pretty good card at doing that. Drawn to a Generous Ent here. I think I'm just going to tap out for Kerbane and maybe land cycle that next turn if I don't draw another land. I'd rather trade a Haunt into the Vanguard than the Kerbane, so I'm just going to not attack. Just keep them from attacking us. We are playing against a blue-black, very strong color pair. Lots of Amass in both of those colors can make a really big Orc Army. Lots of ring tempting as well, Nazgul being a particularly great card to have the ring tempt them. Make a ring-bearing Vanguard. Alright, I was already going to trade with that. Now I'll double trade with it. Okay, we do draw into land for turn. So it's another black source for Fellbeast as well. Yeah, we're definitely going to cycle this Ent, but let's just play a Kerbane and hold up ambush here. Yeah. And we'll cycle the Generous Ent during their end step if we don't need to ambush. Sending in the squad, offering to trade with the Nazgul, because it would be nice to kill the Nazgul before it gets any bigger, because that'll keep getting a +1/+1 counter every time the ring tempts them. And obviously they can turn that into the ring bearer the next time the ring tempts them, and it'll be a really big deal. A 3/4 Death Touch can only be blocked by creatures with power 3 or less. There's a Lash of the Balrog, sack their army to kill our army. That is fair. Fine with us. Send in the Nazgul. Technically a 2-for-1 trade, but I would quite like to get the Nazgul off the board. So I'm going to go for it. Alright, sweet. We lose our Kerbane and our ambush just to kill their one Nazgul, but Kerbane kind of already got value making an army. Alright, another Generous Ent. We are definitely going to have to cycle the first one. They put Lash the Balrog back on top so that can kill our Fellbeast, so hopefully we do hit a land next turn, so I don't have to cycle this next Generous Ent. I think it's worth the risk to not cycle both Ents, because we know they have a Lash of the Balrog in their hand. So if I just cycle this Ent to make sure I can cast the Fellbeast, then I'm just going to be completely out of plays. They're just going to kill my one creature. And we just lose from there. Okay, there's a Snarling Warg. Large Menace Stork. Uruk-hai Berserker. That's not bad. Because if they don't lash my Kerbane, I can reanimate my Haunt of the Dead Marshes now. Not this turn, but next turn. think I'm still playing this Genercent slow, hoping to draw land here. We're taking 6 right now. Just trade into the Orc Army, that's fine. Bewitching Leechcraft. Alright, so they just have a ton of removal in their deck. So they're going to Leechcraft the Berserker and still have a Lash of the Balrog left over. Which is definitely not good for us. Not going to reanimate Haunt during my upkeep, because if I top deck a land, it's going to be infinitely better to play one of those 2 cards. Don't top deck a land, though. It's a Mirror Guardian. That's a pretty reasonable one. Pretty reasonable one. Drop that down. We take 6 on the crackback here. If they blow up my Guardian, might have to hold Microbane back now. I can double block the Warg, or threaten to at least. We're getting to a point that I really don't want to be at, where I might have to cycle the Ent and just drop the Fell Beast and let them lash it. Just to get a food token, clear out their 2/2. Buy a little bit of breathing room here. Okay, well they have lashed, so now I think it would be pretty reasonable. Cycle into Fellbeast, especially if they let me trade into the 2/2 here. They don't let me trade into the 2/2. I'm only taking 4 a turn then. Going to 11, I go to 7 next turn. If I don't hit a land, basically everything else in my deck is castable anyway. I only have 1 more 6-drop. I guess I have 2. I've got a Fellbeast and a Troll. I'm actually going to stay greedy on this one. There we go. Alright. I think I do need the card with higher immediate impact here. Drop the Fellbeast over the Ent. I mean, I guess the Ent is still really high immediate impact. If I drop Fellbeast and they sack the 2/2 attack with a 4/4, I have to block both, lose the Fellbeast. Ent is a much better blocker against Warg. Plus, then, again, if they have removal, they kill this one instead. I guess that's actually better for us if they kill the 4/4 flyer than the 5/7 reach with a removal spell. Ooh, Trebuchet to go with their army, so they're flinging boulders at us when they attack. But they pass from there. 1 card in hand, they are on blue. They could have a counterspell here. I doubt we're getting them to a position where they tap out again, though. They have 6 mana up, unless they have a Fellbeast or something. They're always going to have 2 mana up for the counter target creature spell. So we just go for it. Okay, they don't have it. It's pretty good. Get rid of the Boulder Flinger. We start attacking with the Guardian. Best card to trade into either of those. And it is going to shoot them down to 8. Stop on my upkeep in case my Mirror Guardian dies somehow. Ooh, Ring-bearing Snarling Warg is not good for me. Now I need to hold that Guardian back again to be able to double block the Warg. There's a Mirkwood Bats as well. If they make any tokens, that's going to be super bad. I've got 2 food tokens here, though, so I should hopefully be fine. Alright, excellent draw with Haunt of the Dead Marshes. Because now I can block the Warg with Haunt and a Guardian. I also get to scry here. Scry that land away. Drop my Vanguard as well, so even if they blow up the Guardian, I can still double block to try to not die. I guess Fellbeast blocks just as well as Ent, and Ent hits harder here. Could I actually send Ent in instead? I could send both. A little risky. I'm at 10 here, basically. Okay, they lash the Fellbeast. R.I.P. my large friend. Okay, find our pretty excellent block here. They're gonna scoop them up, okay. I think it might have been better to go Vanguard Guardian. So we have a 1 power ring bearer that gets through guaranteed. Not that it would kill them immediately, but wouldn't be bad. So just a really solid blue-black deck here. They've got the removal with the lashes. They've got Vanguards, Trees and Visengard for army amassing. They have Nazgul, Birthday Escape for ring tempting. Pretty standard stuff here, nothing super, super aggressive that we need to lower our curve for by putting another spider in or anything like that. I don't think putting in more big beef like bag end porters is going to be super great or anything. I think our main deck is very reasonable here. Just 2 mid-range decks jamming into each other and seeing what happens. Anything here look particularly bad against what they're doing? Really don't think so. Maybe Rise is not the greatest, but it's still going to be potentially reanimating a land cycler, so I'm definitely not going to cut it. But like if we Rise when they have a Vanguard on board, it's pretty whatever. Not as impressive as it could be, but it's still fine. Yeah, I don't hate any of this stuff. I'll just run it back here. Super reasonable hand. We definitely need to hit a land, but if we hit 1 land, we get to these double Mirror Guardians, which is going to be nasty, and we have 2 haunts to scry towards lands, so we should definitely be able to get there. Very solid opening hand. Our opponent has had to mulligan down to 5, dropping a turn 1 haunt to the Dead Marshes to help them out here. They are going to scry to the top. Find a nasty end. Scry this ambush away because we're looking for lands. Well, I've got another haunt, so sure. Haunt for haunt we go. Okay, there's a Lash of the Balrog. Let's just drop a haunt again. Scry into the land. Let's go. There's a turn 3 Nazgul. Pretty great one here. Not going to be able to block that well. I could block and then cast Golem's Bite if they don't have the Ring Tempt them again. I could Lash it immediately so they can't reanimate the Haunt and they don't have anything big here. A little awkward, but it might be worth it. And if they spend all their mana next turn bringing a Haunt back and scrying 1, that's probably fine. Yeah, let's just play the Guardian. I think that would be fine. I guess I should have attacked holding up the bite. But I guess again, if I was going to be on Goblin's Bite to kill Nazgul, I could just go Block Bite, which is the same thing. I already decided that wasn't worth it, so... Okay. Now I can hold up Golem's Bite and cast a Mirror Guardian, which is beautiful. Might be thinking about killing one of my Guardians, so I'm going to put a stop on my upkeep in case I want to reanimate a Haunt then. And they are going to kill a Guardian. And then reanimate their Haunt. Just trying to get as much scry as they can. Okay, pass through here. If I want to Haunt right now, I mean, I just have a Lash Nasty End, so I'm probably going to Lash the Nazgul. Yeah, reanimate Haunt, Lash Nazgul after we scry seems good. So scry before the draw step. I will keep a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Only 2 mana away from casting it. And then I will Lash the Nazgul. Hit for 5. Stop on my upkeep again. With Golem's Bite and Nasty End being the cards that I can afford, I definitely have the ability to afford just spending 3 on Haunt before I do anything. Unless I top deck a good 4-drop or something, I guess then it gets a little awkward. Purbane's solid. Can't use that immediately, but that's fine. Got an okay turn to just Golem's Bite here. Alright, this time, even if one of my Haunts dies, I highly doubt that I'm reanimating it in my upkeep. I'll still put the stop there just in case. But now I'm just going to be casting a Kerbane. The Trebuchet, no Orcs, no Goblins. Send in the Haunt here. I'm going to trade into that so they can't keep drawing and discarding. Unless they play another card where the Ring tempts them. Ooh. Speaking of drawing and discarding and ring tempting people, Urkai Berserker. It's a level 2 ring-bearing Mirror Guardian now. Draw and discard. Find a Rise of the Witch King? That's a spicy one. I guess I can just naturally discard the Troll and cast the Rise next turn then. Alright, they are going to scoop them up. Started the game pretty far behind and they are just over it at this point. So we will be 2-0. We have a victory in round number 1 of 3. Here we are on the play for round 2. Super awkward hand. It's basically like 6 lands and a nasty end which doesn't do anything until we have a creature. I think I have to mulligan that. This is much more keepable. I don't want to have to get rid of Fell Beast, but I kind of think I have to just get rid of the 6-drop here. That's just so far away right now. Bag End Porter, 4-drop? Let's scry it to the bottom. I gotta hit lands for this Tree Folk. Like, if it's just a ton of lands underneath that card, then it plays fine to keep Bag End Porter on top. But if not, it could be a pretty big issue. I'm not choosing to hit a land with a 5-drop in hand. We're playing against a black-white deck. There's a Took Reaper, turn 2. Well, I guess we should have kept the Bag End Porter because it is just a pile of lands underneath it. Trade with the Took Reaper. And there's a Denethor, get a 1/1 human. Pass turn. Just some awkward hands, game 1 or round 2. Could really get us killed here. I'm still kind of doing nothing till turn 5. Just a Haunt. Okay, this Denethor is going to be a big enough issue. I think I'm just going to lash it. Instead of doing anything else, I only take 2 damage on board if I get Denethor out of here. Take another 2 before I start casting creatures. Saruman the White. Oh god. So they cast 2 spells in 1 turn. They get to Amass. And they've still got 4 cards in hand now somehow. I guess because Mustard drew them a card. Eagles of the North. That's pretty nasty here. Saruman gets in. And we have nothing to block that. I've got a Kerbane to block it, but it doesn't do it profitably at all. Can only play 1 creature this turn no matter what I do. I guess Kerbane is 2 blockers. We can attack with Troll, drop Kerbane. Doesn't feel great. Tree Folk really doesn't do anything. Guess it blocks on the ground at least. I think we're pretty dead. But I'm going to go for an attack here, because that gets us in a position where maybe we can kill them in 2 more swings after this. If I just draw perfectly, maybe we get out. But if I just sit here and try to play the defensive against Saruman, like, the gap in our board states is just going to get exponentially worse for us. Unless their hand is just all lands. Oh my god, now there's an Old Man Willow. Yep. Old Man Willow plus Smeagol plus Saruman Amass. Definitely popping off with the Great Hall of the Citadels. Just 3 incredibly powerful off-color legends off these Great Halls. And that is a huge issue. Go to 2. Find another Kerbane. That'll be 3 blockers total against 5 attackers, one of which gets to kill one of our blockers when it attacks. Okay. Well, that was disgusting. That was filthy. We had kind of a forced mulligan with an incredibly slow hand, and then we mulliganed into another incredibly slow hand. Cast 1 spell till turn 5. So started the game pretty far behind, and then they just kept casting supreme legends down. So I think this matchup is winnable. I think they definitely have the advantage. They've got much stronger just individual cards in their deck between Saruman, Old Man Willow, and Smeagol. But if we draw just a nice consistent hand, we ramp out throughout the game, we can still definitely compete here and potentially find a victory. That opening hand, well, those 2 opening hands were definitely not quick, consistent curves, though. So we are going to get just dismantled pretty easily. I don't think we have anything particularly great here. We could play an ambush because we're going to need to be blowing up a lot of various powerful legends. And I don't have any more removal I could put in. I could put in a spider, I guess. And that'll keep one of the legends off of us. I think I'd rather put in a spider than another ambush. It's probably all we're really doing here, just trying to up the count of cards that we have that can deal with some of these legends. And if I'm putting that in, really lower that curve a tiny bit, drop one of the 5 drops or something. I guess the 4/4 doesn't seem super good. They've got 4/4s, 4/2s. 4/5 does seem like a really good stat line against their deck, so I'm actually going to drop the 4/4 over the 4/5. Do that, I suppose. That seems fine. Drop a 4-mana creature for a 1-mana Death Toucher. Get things a little lower. Let's get on the play here. Another pretty awkward hand. At least we have a 3-drop with this one. But if we lose our only creature, then these 2 spells don't do anything. And that could be a death sentence. We didn't see any removal spells from them game 1 as far as I remember, but they didn't really need to cast any, even if they had them. Alright, Mirkwood Spider is an excellent draw. Makes sure that these spells can still do something, even if I lose my Mirror Guardian. Awkward to play it on turn 2 instead of turn 1, but can't have it all. There's turn 3 Denethor. It's going to be annoying. Yeah, I've got 5 out of 6 lands for Genersent, so we're just rolling the Guardian in. Take my 1, I'm not going to ambush an army. Especially when they have a Denethor on board, so they'll just get a 1/1 human anyway. If I kill it. Protector of Gondor. Hello there. Uruk-hai Berserker doesn't do much. I guess the Guardian dying and then casting Berserker means we have a level 5 Ring Bearer. Which is kind of cool. Still gonna save it if I can, though. which I could. None of these are great level 1 ring bearers. What creature would I want to nasty end? Kinda none of these. Still, so I'll just put it on the Guardian. That guarantees we always have a ring bearer out. Because if they kill this one, then it moves the ring bearer to another creature, or it moves the ring to another creature. There's a Lembas to scry 1 and draw a card. Scry to the bottom, draw for turn. Well, draw for Lembas. Land number 5. So now Guardian could end up just trading into 2 1/1s. Not if they attack. Not if they attack. I'm pretty chill with that. Spend the rest of their mana to drain us for life here. So they're not dropping any more creatures. Okay, if they want to kill Guardian, all they can do is block with Denethor, and now I have a Golem's Bite to make that play pretty poorly for them. With Golem's Bite in hand, I attack with Berserker as well. It's going to be suspicious, but it's worth that extra damage we'll get in. Boom, they are down to 9. Got that Golem's Bite on the defensive. I can just eat a food. They have 6 mana now. Here's another thing about this matchup. If they don't draw any Great Hall of the Citadel, we saw like 4 legends that they can only cast off of Great Hall. So it's possible, any game where they don't draw Great Hall of the Citadel, they could have some cards just stranded in their hand, doing nothing for them. And we haven't seen a Great Hall this game yet, so that might be part of what's going on here, because they haven't cast a ton lately. They might have some off-color stuff in hand. There's a Took Reaper. Well, that's a very good blocker for the Mirror Guardian. That might be a good enough blocker for my Guardian that I just draw 3 off of it now, rather than trading it into a Took Reaper. I could Golem's Bite the Took Reaper also. They'll have 2 1/1s to block Guardian still, though, so they'll still be able to block it well. Yeah, no, let's do the draw 3. Can still Golem's Bite the Took Reaper, since I'll probably just cast a Generosent next turn. Yeah, and then I have the Bite in the grave to make a level 3 Ring Bearer soon. Rise is pretty bad right now. We just have a Guardian engrave, and they just sack a 1/1. Rise of the Witch King is definitely awkward against the Denethor. Against all their other like solid legends, I think it's fine. I guess Denethor and Saruman it's bad against. But they are white-black, so when they're not playing off-color cards, they have Protector of Gondors as well. Still a reanimation spell, but maybe should have cut that. I don't think we have anything in our sideboard that's better than that, though. Because again, even just as a reanimation spell, probably better than the stuff in our side in general. Maybe just the 4-mana 4/4 thing is better than Rise of the Witch King in this match. Uh-oh. Well, there goes our breathing room. Inherited Envelope is down, and now they should be able to cast pretty much all their splashes. Old Man Willow, Golem, well, Smeagol. Those are castable for sure. Saruman is castable if they have one more mana. How badly do I want to get rid of their Ring Bearer? I think badly enough. Stop them from getting the draw a card, discard a card every turn. Lash of the Balrog, sack the 1/1, get a new 1/1 with Denethor. Sure. Oh, if I had one more mana. Oh, if I had one more mana. Because then I could make Uruk-hai Berserker a level 3 Ring Bearer. At level 3, it makes anything that blocks it get sacrificed. I could hope that they think I have a combat trick when I attack with Berserker and they don't block with Denethor, in which case they block with the 1/1 and then only have Denethor out, and then I Rise the Witch King still. This is a risky line if I do that. I think that's a little too risky. Let's just do the Golem's Bite. Ooh, Lash of the Balrog. Well, there we go. Now we get rid of Denethor anyway. I mean, now that they have the mana for other creatures, they're going to play stuff that's just as bad as Denethor. Denethor is a big deal, but they have more big deals that they could draw into or have in hand. Saruman, yep. Pretty much just as big of a deal as Denethor. Especially with the mana to immediately double spell again. I need a creature out to rise. Of course. Oh, it would have been so much better if I traded off, since I immediately top-decked a great expendable creature for rise, but obviously we couldn't have foreseen that. That's really annoying. Okay. Pretty big bummer to draw into that. Level 4 Ring Bearer, hold up. Maybe not. Because now if I pick up Berserker and they don't have removal, I hit them for 4 a turn with the 1/1. Pray for no removal. Oh my god. I mill my Claim the Precious off the attack. Oh. Lords of RNGesus, spare me, please. I'm just going to double spell. Get another 2/2 if I trade here. Take 6, I go to 11, then I gain 3, I'm at 14 still. Definitely outracing them if they don't play any 1 toughness, or sorry, 1 power creatures. That's not a 1 power creature. Oh, come on. Okay. I mean, they drew Denethor, Saruman, Smeagol again, so even if I reanimate the 5/7... I'm so far behind here. They drew every single legend again. Old Man Willow also? They're all in the top half of their deck again. The exact same legends. That's so disappointing. What are you going to do about it? I don't think I can not die on the crackback. I guess barely. Right, I chump Old Man, take 8. If they draw another card where the ring tempts them, they win, or if they draw removal, they win. My god, no, I milled... Oh, I milled Claim the Precious, and then I milled Voracious Fellbeast off of my draw a card, discard a cards with no cards in hand. Alright, that's already lethal. I have to chump. Oh yeah, they can just sack Smeagol to Old Man Willow's ability and kill my Ring Bearer. So I have to top deck another Ring Tempt card. This is nuts, these legends. That's a trade instead of a chump, so I probably take that. No? Yeah. I mean, I have no way to keep this on the board. I can't just take 11. So it is probably better to trade than chump. By a little bit. Alright, well, I mean, we were definitely outclassed there. They had just some supreme card quality in their draft pod, being able to just scoop up every legend under the sun. All of the super powerful uncommon and rare legends to play off of Great Halls and envelopes. But we also had some real rough RNG, milling Claim the Precious, milling Fellbeast, stuff like that. They drew all the same legends they killed us with game 1 in game 2 as well, so they were in the top half of their deck each time. They turned 3 Denethor each game as well, which was a huge way to grind things out, keep them at a higher life total, stop our early aggro there, even while they were stumbling on mana. They had the better deck and the better draws, so very unwinnable round there. 1-1 as we head into game 3. Here we are for game 3. Well, here we are for round 3, game 1. Pretty nice opening hand with Vanguard into Guardian, and then the Fellbeast for the finisher. Playing against a red deck for round 3, we've just seen 2 mountains from them. And that is it for now. Blue-red. Could be an annoying matchup. Blue-red spells tends to play a lot of cheap burn spells and counter spells and stuff. Try to lock us out of the game. They've definitely got Glorious Gale up. We'll probably have Glorious Gale up, statistically speaking. But I have nothing to play around it with. They do not have Glorious Gale up. Alright. That is helpful. If they have Fear Fire foes in their deck, this is going to be pretty rough, because they blow up our 2/2 and all our 1/1s. Well, all our 1 toughness creatures. For Cycle of Generosent. Ooh, Rise of the Witch King, but they have no creatures on board. Maybe they'll Deceive the Messenger, and then we can Rise post-combat. Nope. Oh, God. Oh, this is going to be disgusting. Oh, they're going to hate this. They're going to hate this. Kill Gandalf, get a Generosent. Well, we did the thing. We did the thing. That is our first major Rise of the Witch King. We did get to play it last round, but we killed the 1/1. This time we killed a Gandalf and got a 5/7 reach and a food. Absolutely disgusting. Ooh, they've got the bounce spell here, which is very good. Put the Ent back in our hand.
and kill our army permanently. So they're very much still in the game because they had a really powerful follow-up after Gandalf to kind of counteract what we just did. Could cycle the Ent to guarantee a Fell Beast, but Fell Beast is even just not that exciting against an empty board, so I would rather hope to draw land and then just replay the Ent, and we did. And if we didn't draw land, the vast majority of cards in our deck are castable off 5 or less mana. So we'll just cast whatever we draw if we don't hit land 6. Gandalf the Grey. They've got Gandalf, Friend of the Shire, and Gandalf the Grey. It's pretty spicy. We're going to make them sack both Gandalfs, which is the rudest thing ever. Alright, sack Gandalf 1, now sack Gandalf 2, and that'll just close things out. Well, I really like our sacrifice cards. Rise of the Witch King, Double Fell Beast, really good in a matchup where your opponent does not have a lot of creatures. So those are, all 3 of those are cards that were significantly weaker in last round against somewhat of a black-white token stack, but super good in this round against blue-red spells with very few creatures. So I'm really happy to have those in here. I again don't think we really have much of a sideboard going on. I could drop a little bit of removal here, like the Golem's Bite. But I can still use the Bite as a combat trick, and when they do resolve one of their Gandalfs, those are all cards I would really like to kill. So I'm pretty happy to just run it back again. Here we are for game 2 of round 3, another incredible hand. We've got Haunt turn 1, Easterling Vanguard turn 2, and then multiple options of 3 mana plays. So this hand really gets things rolling early, which is probably what we want in this matchup so we can get in under any counterspells if they have them. Haven't seen any counterspells from them yet, but I imagine that they do exist in there. So they're going to cycle an Oliphant for a mountain. We are going to scry into land number 3. Very happy to keep that on top. And get the Vanguard on the board. Urbane hits for 3 a turn. Guardian hits for 4. Play the higher power creature here. Urbane plays better against a single target removal spell like a Ranger's Firebrand, though. Maybe we play around one of those. Greyhaven's Navigator. So it's going to eat my Haunt for free. I think I'm okay with that. I could bite it right now, but if I wait till I have 4 mana, next turn I could play one of these and bite the Navigator, which feels pretty good. And now that they have Navigator down, Guardian's not great at trading into that. It's fine, because we do have the Ring Tempt Us. But I think it's Urbane here. Oops. My hand got pushed to the left, so I started highlighting the wrong card because Haunt showed up over here. Almost cast the Guardian, because my hand got shoved over. Okay, we don't hit the land here. Probably rather just cast another Urbane or a Guardian or something post-combat. But our attacks are good right now against a 3-2. Gonna isolation our token. Improvised Club my face. Uh-oh. They must have some Fiery Sanction. Some Fiery Sanction. Or Fiery Inscription, Gandalf Sanction nonsense coming up. That could shoot us for a lot. Play the Mirror Guardian here because 2/3 of Urbane's power has haste, so if I play it next turn, I hit for 4 instead of 2 with that. War Beast of Gorgoroth. Can lash that. But then I don't get to cast a creature this turn. But lash that and then bite the 2/2 lets me hit them for 8, which is a pretty big deal. Yeah, I think I get the Kerbane out of here. I've only got 3 out of 6 mana for this thing, so I'm just going to turn it into a swamp. There's a smite on the Mirror Guardian, so it doesn't get its death trigger. They have 1 card left in their hand. If it is an interaction, then casting Kerbane kills them immediately. So let's see. Go for the immediate damage. And that'll do it. Quick 2-0 in the final round, so... Alright. Pretty back and forth draft today. We just delivered some absolute beatings. 2-0 in round 1 and 2-0 in round 3. And then round 2, it was just our turn to take a beating. Played against a pretty premium black-white tokens deck with a bunch of excellent splashes off of Great Halls of the Citadel and Inherited Envelope. Just a bunch of very high quality, high power level legends there that do kind of crush us here. So 2-1, still a positive record, still a good run overall. Would have liked to do a little better, but was going to be incredibly difficult to win that second round. I think we were just outclassed again in deck quality and card quality and in draws throughout our games. So one last look at the deck, talk about our over and underperformers. Nothing really stands out as being exceptionally good or exceptionally bad. I did not cast Nasty End very often. I think I cast it once, and it wasn't the greatest. It was just I had a legendary 4-2, and they had multiple 1-1s and a 2-2 down, so I was like, well, this is just going to trade pretty poorly now anyway, so might as well draw 3. So Nasty End never did anything great. It's always ideal when you have it up against like a removal spell, but that opportunity never showed up. All the big dorks were solid. The Ring Tempting was solid. Yeah, nothing played particularly horribly or particularly excellently. Obviously, Rise of the Witch King and Fell Beast were completely insane in the final match, but just okay in round 2, or kind of weak in round 2, actually. So, really dependent on the matchups overall. But still had some fun with the deck, still did some wild things, especially eliminating 2 Gandalfs in a row with sacrifice abilities. That was a super sad time for our opponent in that round. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube channel members for their support, as well as you for watching the videos. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link or the YouTube join button below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.